Throughout the month of July, I made sure to have my book in front of alpha/beta readers' eyes. And if you are a reader who's curious about this process, or another writer who wants to become an author, or another indie author who's seasoned and wants to know more about this, I thought that I'd go through the definitions of each one in my eyes and what I think that I have found the most success for with each type of reader, what I would recommend to tell each one of these readers, because sometimes certain feedback is not very helpful. Also, if you don't know me, I am River Kai. I'm an LGBTQ plus author and artist, and I'm also disabled, so my characters share a lot of those identities with me. I love to write romance books, and they're usually about trauma survivors who are finding true love for the first time. And especially in paranormal fantasy worlds, those are my favorites. So I definitely need some alpha, beta, and sensitivity readers for those things. This is part of a series where we have been creating this book baby in my Let's Make a Book Baby video series here on YouTube. So if you're curious about that, you can watch it back. And this is one of the final days of the Kickstarter for our book baby. So if you want to see it come to life, be a part of it, have your name in the acknowledgements, and maybe even get a special edition, back to Kickstarter before it ends on July 31st at 12 p.m. Let's start with alpha and beta readers. So why is this starting to sound like an Omegaverse book? It is not just because I'm an Omegaverse author part of the time, but I do find that very entertaining, and I think that I need to call some of my readers Omega readers because we're missing a very important piece of the puzzle. But anyway, those are your book's very first set of test readers. They are not editors. So the purpose for having test readers would be for someone to pick up your book, usually an ebook version, and they're like, what in here as a reader am I finding confusing, disappointing, wishing was different, or what am I absolutely loving? Please don't remove this because you like to take an axe to your book and chop it up and take all the little bits out like I do. So those are the types of things that I want to know from those types of readers. I do not want solutions as to how to achieve those things, because that is the job of me and my editor or editors if I'm working with more than one. First things first, I always recommend to tell your alpha or beta readers to tell them exactly what is expected of them so that they can give you proper feedback and that you can actually use it in your book, that you still feel like you're having a good relationship with them. There's no resentfulness there, and you're not withholding oh, that's not what I wanted. Telling them up front will help with some of that, in my opinion. People will still do what they want to do. Sometimes people are going to give feedback that it's not very pleasant anyway, but I just feel like this makes it an overall more pleasant experience. So in order to tell them what you want, it's good to know why these different types of readers are useful. And alpha readers, I would say, are usually one or two trusted friends. You don't have to have a bunch of alpha readers. Usually these people are either writers themselves or they're absolutely in love with your exact genre. And I kind of prefer to have readers who read a lot of your genre of book that you're trying to publish, so that it's more authentic in that way and not another writer starting to get into editor territory. And you want constructive, helpful feedback from people who care about you and care about your book, because if those things are not present, then sometimes there could be some bitterness or jealousy, or I don't know, if you're writing a book and you aren't realizing that this person is actually transphobic and you're a trans author like I am, you're gonna get transphobic feedback. And I'm great, that's what I wanted. No, it's not at all. But since these are the very first readers to ever lay eye on your book as an alpha reader, I would recommend that this is someone you know pretty well. In this type of early revision stage, it's important to yes, you need feedback, but you do not want to crush your book. It's not the time for that. Your editor can give you feedback on what to change and what's really not working. But if you crush your book too early with too much unhelpful negativity and this is weird, this is like name calling or like just degrading your writing, it's not going to be inspiring if you have to then do revisions and you're back of your head the whole time thinking like, oh, this book sucks and all this, because we already struggle with that with imposter syndrome. It's like a part of the editing process, unfortunately. So by encouraging that reader to like treat your book as more fan-like and choosing a reader who would probably be a fan of your book, it sets you up for more success, because I think it's much more fun to be like, oh, these are the exciting things that people love in this book, and this is what I want to make sure to emphasize. Maybe they'll give you an idea inadvertently by being like, wow, I love this part, and you're like, oh, I was wondering if people would even notice that, like I wanted to add another part that had more emphasis on that, so then you can go in and add that in, and things like that can be very useful to create excitement around your book too. But of course, if people still have writing knowledge, it can be helpful because they can still point out like, hey, I feel like this plot line is kind of confusing me here. So do I think that you absolutely need to have an alpha reader? It really depends on the person. So if you have a lot of experience in editing and you are like a very technical editor yourself, then maybe you don't need as many, but I still feel like it is kind of important to still at least have one trusted person early on to read the book, just so that it feels like a little bit less daunting when you do start to share it. And if there are any things that arise, you aren't like, is this reader's random opinion, or is this something I should actually pay attention to? Because sometimes people will make their own opinions and they aren't really reading, like they could have missed a passage of your book while reading, which happens a lot. Happens a lot, and that's normal. Like your brain can't absorb every single little word that you have pored over and tried to fix and added the perfect synonym for and all this stuff. So people will miss large chunks of important lore, and it can be a way to be like, hey, okay, if I separate the sentence out or separate this paragraph up, chop it up a little bit, maybe it'll be easier for their brain to soak that in a little bit better. Like that's how I see those things. But if someone were to come in and tell me, oh, you need to do this with this and you can't say this and all this, it's like, that's not what you're looking for, and they aren't aware of the greater plot purposes of little things in there, those little details. So then you have to be like, okay, wait, why are they saying this, and what's the actual solution for this? Like, is it because they missed this part of the passage? That's why I would recommend telling them what you would like from them. But after this alpha reader reads it, or at the same time, it's nice to also have a couple of beta readers. So sometimes people will have a lot of beta readers, like some authors really like that, but that stresses me out. So I try to have just like 1 to 3 readers who can give me similar types of feedback, but they absolutely should be in your target audience. They can be while you're editing the book, as long as you tell them like, hey, I'm still editing this book, because then they won't be as focused on trying to only find typos rather than like enjoying it as a reader. So the only difference that I would say are between alpha and beta readers is that an alpha reader is someone who probably you know much better. Beta reader is still someone who really, really loves your genre, hopefully, but you don't have to know them personally as well. Maybe just know that like they are a trusted reader, as in they really do like your work. If you have never published anything before, then look and see if they post about it a lot online, if that's how you found them. Like, do they post about books that have similar plots to yours, similar vibes to yours? Okay, so real quick before we go, let me show you a sample of what I would tell these beta readers at the top of the document before they read the book, just in case you'd like to use it as kind of a template of sorts. This is what I usually say, and I'll tell you what I'm going to add to it this time because I think I need to add more to it. So here's the title of the book, and I put beta reader info right at the top. And I said in big letters, please read even if you've done this before, because sometimes people will be like, oh, I've beta read for lots of books, but they aren't realizing that your version of what you want through a beta read might be different than another author's version. So I like to say that at the top to be like, okay, I really want to make sure you know that this is what I'm looking for. So I always thank them. I'm like, thanks so much for offering to be one of the very first readers ever, because that is very exciting and it is an honor. So I like to make sure to definitely know know, like, let people know I'm grateful for them. To help make this process easier on both of us, I'm listing a few brief points below as to what I am looking for your help with. Putting a deadline at the top, but I'm like, if you can't provide feedback by that time, just let me know. Like, I like to make sure that people know it's not super strict, because I think that makes it harder sometimes for people to finish it, ironically. In that case, I would like to know so that I can find another reader to be that beta reader if I don't have enough. So I informed them, Kayla and I are currently editing the crap out of this thing, because Kayla Vokalek and I, we edit all my books together. This was the original document before that we were working on. Now we have our own final document. But I made it clear that while editing is our job, beta readers help provide insight on how readers feel when enjoying the story. Rather than suggesting potential edits, I would love most to hear your thoughts on the emotions you're feeling throughout the story, things you wish you were or weren't happening, or if anything feels confusing. That will help us decide how we'll make changes to the story. And I said, like, of course, if you notice any typos or inconsistencies, you can point them out still, because I've had people say too that, like, oh, it's great so far, but it has a lot of typos. And then I realized it's because they were like, I was like, okay, wait, I wonder if they're seeing like the your thing, because they were sending me messages with, when it was, the word was supposed to say you are, like with an apostrophe re, but they were writing your. And so I was like, okay, I wonder if they just think that those types of things are typos. So if they point them out, then I can know for certain, rather than them just being like, I did notice typos. I'm like, wait, what? Like, how many where, which? It starts stressing me out. So I like to say that. Then the rest of it, this is a particular thing that I write. So if there's something that is unique about your writing style and your editing style, definitely put that in here, because I say, if you notice anything written in brackets, like double brackets like this, that's because I'm still deciding on something within those brackets, or reminding myself to look for a synonym. Not to worry, they'll be removed, because I have had readers be like, what is this? I'm like, oh, sorry, it's just me editing. I also say you can comment on the document as you go, or write your thoughts afterwards in an email document, or both, whatever feels most comfortable. People have totally different preferences or combinations they like to do with this, so if I answer that up front, it sometimes makes it less difficult for them to get started, because they aren't feeling as daunted of like, how do I do this? Then I always make sure to say, okay, if anything seems insensitive about a character's identity or background, it's not intentional, so please feel free to let me know, because maybe my sensitivity readers and I didn't pick up on something that someone else with different life experience has, and I just wasn't aware of it. You never know. Then after that, I say optional, and I'll put like different questions about the book. So are there anything that feels repetitive, any scenes that feel long? My book's a dual perspective, so if you have any specific features about your book, like the point of view or the dual perspective instead of a singular perspective, then you can ask about that. Like, did the two main characters have distinct enough voices and personalities as we read from their perspectives? Are you bothered that not all things are brought up in this book are resolved within the first book, because it's a series? And if you notice any tropes or aspects of the book that stand out to you as exciting selling points for what you're looking for, especially if I haven't used them to market, then please feel free to point them out. I was like, please tell me what passages you like, because I want to go through at people's comments where they're excited and pick out different things that like I can quote on social media, because your beta readers are going to give you content like that. They're going to be like, I love this line, and otherwise you might not know that until readers read the book and you happen to come across a post that they take the time to make. Like, that is much more rare, rather than having the people being there to hype up your book be like, oh my god, I love this line, and then I'm like, okay, I'll make sure, like, that means other readers probably could like this line too, and I'll highlight it. The one thing that I think would be a good important point that my editor and I talked about for future books is that I also want to now add, if there's nothing that you feel is off, don't feel obligated to say, like, to try to find something that's off. Like, you can tell me and I will still, like, if there's a sensitivity reader, for example, I would still pay you. If you're like, hey, it's fine, like, I'd be like, great. I'm gonna pay you now. Like, because I do feel like sometimes people feel pressured and they feel weird, so then they start looking at other different parts of the book to try to pick something out, and then I'm like, okay, this doesn't seem like it sounds like what other readers are saying. Like, is this an opinion thing? Is this actually something I need to change? I think sometimes people do run into that where they feel like, oh no, I didn't give River enough feedback. I gotta come up with something. And I'm like, no, just tell me your honest thoughts. Like, if you think it's fine, then I am happy. So I'm gonna put that in here because like I talked more in my points for what I was looking for, like, hey, tell me if something's wrong. It's like, well, what about if something's great? That is what alpha and beta reading is all about. I'm gonna do a separate video on sensitivity readers since it is such an important and nuanced topic, and someone who has different like marginalized identities, I think that I can speak to that. I've done sensitivity reads, so that will be one of our next videos, so I will see you for that one. Again, if you have not checked out Shadow King Omega and you like paranormal romance books, there's only a couple days left on Kickstarter that it's going to be available to have your name put in the acknowledgements and early access and the special edition. And it's all or nothing, and right now when I'm filming this, it has not been funded yet, so it is in danger of not happening. I'll still make sure to publish the book, just a regular edition, but I was hoping that it would help me fund this book launch as an indie author. So if you want to be part of that and have your name in the acknowledgements, I would really love to thank you that way and like have the physical evidence of like, look, we did this together. So feel free to check it out. If it does succeed, like if it's 100% funded, I'm keeping some things open for late pledges, and I'm almost immediately going to release this book for pre-order for people, so it will be available for pre-order at all online bookstores and my own shop where you can get it signed for me, because I love to do that. So I hope you're having a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you very soon. Goodbye for now. Whoops.